Hey you guys, it's Britt. Tonight I am here to share my unpopular opinions holiday edition. So if you're interested, please keep watching. Alright you guys, so I've seen these videos going around the YouTube for the past month or so, and I wanted to take some time to throw some together, and I figured that this would be the perfect video to post on Christmas Eve. So today's the day before Christmas Eve. I'm going to edit it and have it up for you guys on Christmas Eve. So be sure to leave yours down below. I love these videos and I love the idea of having one just for holidays. So let's see. The very first one is eggnog is gross. I don't care if it's spiked or if it's the best recipe under the sun. I did try eggnog one time, a very long time ago. It was non-alcoholic, and just the texture alone grosses me out. I think it's repulsive, and I don't understand what all the hype is for. I realize that a lot of people will be like, oh, well, I have this recipe, or you have to make it this way or that way. Like, I think it's more or less just the general taste and the texture that bothers me, and I think it's gross. So I realize that a lot of people like it. That's also the reason why I did not review the Starbucks eggnog latte, because I know that I just can't stand eggnog, so there's no point in me getting a drink just to say that it's disgusting. Next, colored Christmas trees are unacceptable. Unless your tree is green, it's not a Christmas tree, in my personal opinion. And I realize that a lot of people like the white Christmas trees, or I've even seen ones that are like white with like rose gold. That's just not my thing. I realize that, you know, some people only have real trees, some people only have fake trees. As long as your tree is green, I like it, but I do not like the idea of having a white or any other color besides green Christmas tree. And to kind of piggyback off that opinion, I also don't like when the Christmas tree has like the same decorations. Does that make sense? Like, I like for a Christmas tree to be very much of like a hodgepodge of different ornaments throughout the year and different you know, little pieces of memories. I don't like, you can go to like Michael's and you can buy a big plastic cylinder of only gold, you know, ornament like balls or whatever. Or you can go and get like silver and gold or red and green. I like for everything to be completely different. I like for the tree to be filled with memories over the years, and I just like it to be a hodgepodge of different stuff. I don't like anything that is too matchy-matchy. Next, in my opinion, the only thing that should be on top of a Christmas tree is a star. I know that there are tons of different tree toppers that you can get that are either an angel or just like a geometric shape. If it's not a star, I don't want anything on top of my tree. And I think that goes back to how I grew up. We always had a star on top of our tree. So I think that it also, a lot of this stuff goes back to what your childhood was tied to. And for mine, it was tons of, you know, different ornaments, colorful lights, and a star on top of the tree. Next, this one might get me canceled, but I don't care, I'm going to be honest. Most Christmas music to me is annoying. Do I listen to it? Yes, but I'm not one of those people who's like blasting every Christmas song the whole month of December. And I know that a lot of people love Mariah Carey, All I Want for Christmas. That song is like nails on a chalkboard to me. I cannot stand it. The Christmas music that I tend to like is the really old stuff from, you know, like the 50s or the 60s. I don't really like anything new, and there's only a few Christmas songs from back then that I like, and I don't know. I just think that modern Christmas music especially is more obnoxious, and I feel like some people just jump on the bandwagon because it feels like the right thing to do. But for me, I'm not someone who just rides around listening to Christmas music. That's just me. Next, peppermint bark is totally overrated in my opinion. Peppermint bark, my problem is that I don't like the mixture of chocolate with those hard pieces of candy cane mixed in with it. I either want to have a piece of chocolate or I want to have candy cane. And I love candy canes, but as far as both of them being mixed together, I just don't like how you crunch into it and then it's all stuck in your teeth and the chocolate's melting and the candy cane isn't. It's just weird. I think it's overrated. Next, putting up your Christmas tree in November is not acceptable in this house, except for the year 2020, because I realized that this year sucked and a lot of people who don't typically decorate in November put their tree up early, only because this year has been so unprecedented and so much of a low for so many people for so many different reasons. So I feel like 2020 gets a pass, but typically I don't like decorating before Thanksgiving. Next, I think a lot of people will agree on this one. Fruitcake should be discontinued for all eternity. I don't understand why it's still sold. I don't know anyone in my real life that likes fruitcake. I think it's repulsive and I would be completely okay if I never saw it ever again. Next is that, in my opinion, the blow-up lawn decorations are tacky. And I realize that some people put them in their lawn because they are tacky and that's the look that they're going for. But for me, I would much rather just see colorful Christmas lights. I'm not a huge fan of the inflatable, reindeer and the inflatable like Santa and stuff. That's just not my thing. But again, it all goes back to what I saw as a child, and that stuff wasn't even really super popular when I was a kid. But even if it was, that wouldn't have been the style of like my dad or anyone in my family. Next is vintage Christmas decorations are better than current day Christmas decorations in my opinion. I always grew up with putting tinsel on our tree, and I know a lot of people hate tinsel and it's annoying and all of that, but for me, seeing tinsel on a Christmas tree just encapsulates something. There's such a vintage feel about it and it takes me right back to my childhood. Now, the one thing I'll say is if you have an artificial tree, I could see why you wouldn't want tinsel on the tree, because it can be very, very hard to get the tinsel off, like every single strand, in order to store the tree for next year. But if you have a real tree, then I think it's manageable to get most of the tinsel off before you put the tree out to the curb. But I love tinsel. It's so retro and so vintage, and I just love the vibe that it gives. Next is that Christmas Day is kind of boring. I much prefer the build up to Christmas Day instead of the day itself, because typically the day of, we don't do a whole lot. All the stores are closed. I get it. Like, that's the day that all of this built up to. But I also don't have a large family. And so typically our Christmas Day is spent with my dad or maybe my boyfriend's mom. If and when she's in town, she won't be this year. And we just sit around and watch movies, have dinner. It's a nice day to relax. But as far as it being Christmas Day, I much prefer the build up to the day versus the day itself. And last but not least is, in my opinion, parents go way, way, way over the top anymore when it comes to giving gifts to their kids. Now, don't get me wrong, when I was growing up, I had really amazing Christmases. I would always get tons of new toys, and not tons, but I would get presents, and I was very lucky growing up that my dad and my grandma were in a position where they could provide me with new clothes and some toys, and I always had really good Christmases. But I feel like now it's almost like keeping up with the Joneses, where I see parents, they'll get a very young kid the new iPhone and a new MacBook Pro and a Gucci backpack and 4 new pairs of shoes and a whole new wardrobe. And then as the kid gets older, it's like they get a new car and, you know, jewelry. It's just all too much. And I think that it does come down to these parents. Again, I hate to blame everything on family vloggers, but a lot of these parents are watching families on YouTube and seeing what these families do for their kids. And it's almost like they know that this is what the kids are going to want and this is what the kids are going to be talking about in school. And it's this flex culture. I've done videos about flex culture before, but in my opinion, if, you know, putting myself back in the shoes where I was when I was young, I was never subject to seeing my dad or my grandma super stressed out around Christmas time because they were running around like crazy and spending all this money and, you know, fighting people in the malls and stuff. I never saw that. So I feel like it should be sending a message of more realistic gifts for kids and instilling in them the values that Christmas is to spend time with family and be appreciative, and, you know, it's the season of giving, not necessarily receiving. Even if you are in a position to give to your kids, I just feel like the monetary value on what the standard gifts are for kids just keeps going up and up and up, and I just think that it's crazy. So anyway, it all comes back to what I talk about all the time on my channel, that is flex culture, social media, what people are seeing on social media, the family vloggers who are pushing an unrealistic lifestyle to their audience, and I just think that it's a little over the top. So that is my last unpopular opinion, that parents just do too much in the year 2020 when it comes to gift giving to kids. You know, in my personal opinion, I think it would be more of a learning lesson to, you know, get your kids stuff, but also take them to the local homeless shelter and volunteer some time. You know, volunteer some hours so that your kids can see that there are a lot of people who aren't getting iPhones and MacBooks and all of this kind of stuff. And after all, it is the season of giving for a reason. So that's just my opinion. Make sure you guys leave yours down below. I will be super excited to see what you guys have to say. But for now, if you like the video, please leave me a like and a comment. And if you'd like to see more from me in the future, please subscribe. I'll see you guys soon. Bye.